Welcome in. This is your odds checker betting preview for this week's Zurich Classic. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, Geoff Fienberg. And Jeff, little bit of a different event team aspect. 160 golfers split up into teams of 80. How do you like this event?
I say it all the time, Rick. I have no problem anytime they want to change the vibe up on tour. I wish it wasn't so close to match play because it's so rare that we get any change of pace. The monotony of a 4-day stroke play, like I get that's the way it's done, but you could argue that might be one of the most boring concepts in all of sport. So anytime they want to change it up, I support. There's so many weeks on tour. If they did this in a co-ed version, I think that would be fantastic with the LPGA joint venture. It's amazing how we haven't gotten there yet. That could be tons of fun. So yeah, I get like from the DFS or the hardcore data standpoint, it's a real frustrating week, but it's a super fun week for Narrative Street, Rick.
I love, you hear all the stories of how these guys get together. Sometimes they don't even know each other. Sometimes they've been friends for 30 years. There's a lot going on. I love just hearing the stories of how the teams are formed.
Yeah, that's just one part of it. And you've got to create a story in your head as to why this team is going to win. So there's just many layers of storytelling, I guess, when it comes to team golf. There are very few teams, I assume, Rick, that are like taking it super intense, that are having like these in-depth strategy sessions. I think the goal is get off to a hot start. Let's make the cut, make some money, and hopefully we can, come home with a title belt.
Yeah, let's see what happens. How does this affect your card? I think mine will kind of be more targeted towards the upper portion, smaller than most weeks. Like, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so let's get this out of the way. I've been taking it on the chin ever since we got to Florida, Rick. Been circling the waters, even Varner last week. Whatever. Move on. We move on. The fact that it's a team event, been taking it on the chin, I think we got to just rein in exposure because there are so many layers and narratives that it really is hard to figure it out. But you aren't wrong. Yes, Cameron Smith and Jonas Blix won the inaugural version of this, and you could take that as like, look at what Cam Smith has done. So any early career success, you look at the number and be like, I don't know, he had a trajectory. Fine. But whether it be the winner or the teams contending, historically, it does seem to be like those teams that, wouldn't have been north of 50 or 60 to 1, certainly.
All right, well, let's dive into the odds checker grid and see what I can find here. The favorites, or in this case, co-favorites, at 8.5 to 1 at Bet365. Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele playing together along with Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland. Then the next few teams, Jeff, are defending champions, Mark Leishman and Cam Smith. They are 10 to 1 with the number one player in the world, Scotty Scheffler, alongside Ryan Palmer, also at 11 to 1. Those are the big four. And I'll even throw Sam Burns and Billy Horschel into the mix. We'll call it a big five for the top here.
Yeah, that's probably fair to throw them in. And listen, hopefully, unless it's a team that is battling with Hovland and Morikawa for the win, if they want to both play to their ceilings and put on some spectacle this weekend, I'll just have to enjoy it. And I will enjoy it because like all of you, I love them so much and they're just a joy to watch. That being said, I can't make the bet. The fifth wheel, though, would probably be the bet I would make from under this, Rick, because as I joked, I don't think there's many we got to win this strategy sessions. It's kind of here for a good time, good eats, even with the wifeys. Like, the Cantlay Schauffele crew, they like to travel, no kids involved. I'm sure a lot of nice drinks and dinner. And even if Schauffele wins, we're not even getting him a point. We're not even getting him a half point. He's going to have to earn everything. Like, even if he carries it, it won't matter. So he's almost got nothing to lose. You feel bad for him. But as I'm going on, the team that I do think wants it and cares the most from an elite team standpoint would have to be this team. The SEC, the LSU, Florida boys, they've contended here. Billy's won here. I feel like they're almost going to play in this event together until they nab one. Like, they seem pretty committed to this thing. So that's where my money would go if I wanted to step in front of a really, high-end team.
Yeah, top 5 last year, and Billy Horschel's probably been working the strategy for at least a few months at this point. The next step, just one team kind of sits in the middle. Tommy Fleetwood, Sergio Garcia. That's the team that has my full attention. They're 17-1, Geoff. And then we just go straight into the 20s with Shane Lowry, Ian Poulter, the Chileans of Joaquin Niemann and Mito Pereira, Max Homa, Taylor Gooch, Harold Varner III, Bubba Watson. That's the rest of the 20s. What do you see out of the next tier?
So I love that Fleetwood Garcia team. Was hoping to maybe get a bigger bite, but there isn't red ink through them. The Chilean team has my full attention. That's a fun narrative to get behind, and pretty much any team from America could win this thing. It would go down like a fart in the wind in the sports scene. If this team pulled it off, it would be quite a big sports story for them as a sporting nation in their own little way. I can say that as a Canadian. Like, if Hadwin and Svensson pull this off, that will be a kind of a really big story in Canada next week, as opposed to any of these American teams winning. It wouldn't even get noticed. Varner, I think Watson is the perfect teammate for Varner after what's been a grind of a couple weeks and a really close, heartbreaking weekend on an event that he's called his 5th major at the Heritage. As someone that bet Varner last week, Rick, to get back on potentially, I do think Bubba is the perfect mindset partner to let's just go have some fun. And if we're in this thing, we'll ride it. And it could be hard for me not to bet on a team in matching Jordan 12 golf shoes, I tell you.
They'll definitely have the best footwear out on the golf course for sure. I think out of that range for me, I like Fleetwood and Garcia. I like Lowry and Poulter, but I'll continue to see what is available here into the 30s. Danny Willett alongside Terrell Hatton, Benny On, and Sung Jae Im, Davis Riley, Will Zalatoris, Keegan Bradley, Brendan Steele. This is my team that I like right here. Graham McDowell, Seamus Power. That rounds out the 40s before we get to the 50s, Geoff.
Yeah, so I've made actually a couple bets already here, Rick. Zalatoris and Riley. Will Zalatoris at anything that sniffs a 40-1 with his name on it, I will try to catch a piece of. Davis Riley, do I wish I was getting more from that end of the spectrum? Absolutely. But I don't know. It's just like a second player playing with Will Zalatoris is how I've tried to mentally convince myself of that one. And I have backed at a 40-1 the South Korean pairing of Im and On. As we've said, we're trying to make narratives. Getting that tour card back for On, who was second on the Corn Ferry last week, had a win a few weeks ago, has like a 12th and another top 10 in between there. I know it's not the PGA Tour, but golf is golf. Like, you don't have those finishes without having form. So Ben An has it, and I get my high-end ceiling player in a field like this in Sung Jae, who was losing 4 strokes putting last week. Can't do that again, partnered with Ben An, or we'll be done quickly. I get it. But from an outright perspective, this was a narrative that I'm willing to buy into, Rick.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Most people probably don't realize Benny On's been playing a lot better golf as of late. I don't care what tour it's on. Good play creates a lot of confidence. Getting into the 50s, it's a lot of Georgia Bulldogs. Chris Kirk, Brendan Todd, Grayson Siggs, Sepp Straka, pair of Bulldogs there for each of them. Stenson and Rose running it back out. The Canadians that you mentioned, Adam Hadwin, Adam Svensson. Is there a bet? This is where I start to worry that these guys can't actually win this thing, Geoff.
Yeah, so this is kind of where we get to that point. Again, you just sort of look at the past winners and even the teams that have come close, they sort of end up being these higher teams. But I would give I wouldn't discount any of those Georgia Bulldog teams. They're quite sneaky. And even that Canadian tandem off a nice hot week and run of form, that's a team I'm looking at. But nothing in this range has had me running to make a bet already.
If you want to shop it, this is the range where there's some big discrepancies. The Joseph Bramlett, Mav McNeely team as short as 47-1, as short as 40-1, as long as 75-1. Martin Laird, Robert McIntyre, anywhere from 50 to 75. So this is definitely the tier that you're going to want to shop. And then we immediately almost get into the triple digits here, Geoff. Alex Noren and Norlander, Kevin Kisner back with Scott Brown. I'm trying to see what else is even in tight. Joel Damon, Steven Yeager. It gets pretty bad pretty quick.
Gets bad pretty quick. It's probably just the name of it, but Norlander kind of has me. It's that ceiling ball striking of Norlander, which was a big disappointment last week. But the only thing that has my attention north of 100 to 1, and shop it using the grid because it's 130 at DraftKings. I know it's one probably close to your heart, Rick. That Hostler to Gala pairing of 130 to 1. If I'm going to make a move this deep, there's got to be some level of a ceiling play involved there. Maybe much like when Cam Smith made his move with a guy like Blixt, who we all know is capable of, having these insanely low rounds from time to time on tour. So that's where I would go. That would be the long shot that would currently have the most attention.
Yeah, and just to put that into perspective, like we've seen both of those guys earn top 5 finishes. We've seen the ceiling from them. You cannot say the same about a lot of these other groups that are down here, where even as a group, even as a team, you're like, oh man, I don't even know if there's any ceiling here. That team has at least flashed it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I would like to bet on from an outright bet perspective. Because anytime we're double clicking, hitting submit responsibly, Rick, we're doing it like asking for the ceiling. I know this format is weird and gimmicky, but it's hard to win anything out here without your ceiling week. Although, I don't know, Jordan just gave how many strokes to the field putting and won. So weird things can happen. We just saw it last week on a crazy Sunday.
That's a guy I will never figure out. Real quick before we get out of here, Geoff, do you like the fact that they're going to play alternate shot on Friday and Sunday? They're going to end with that. That's a change they made a couple of years ago. Would you rather see that, or would you rather them see them shoot 62s in best ball on Sunday?
No, I think the cash has to come with the most amount of pressure.
I agree.
That's just how the game is played. When it's time to divvy out the cash, even for 35th place, Rick, that's when you gotta be alt-shotting. That's the only way to do it. That's the proper way to do it.
There's got to be a risk of letting your partner down.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, for these guys, it's all about, cash.
Love it. 1.2 million on the line for each of them at the top. Pretty good payday out there in New Orleans. But for now, that's going to do it. Geoff Fienberg available on Twitter at GFienberg17. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been your odds checker betting preview for this week's Zurich Classic. Good luck.